Welcome to Tenacity with Sonia C, the podcast where entrepreneurs, founders, and ambitious professionals come to learn from those who have walked the path, navigating challenges and achieving success. Whether it's thriving in business, pivoting, scaling for growth, fundraising, or finding work-life balance, dealing with loneliness, adversity, or overcoming personal struggles. Our guests share the insights and strategies that have empowered them to level up. I'm your host, Sonia, and let's get started. My guest today is Matt O'Neill. Matt is a happiness expert whose work has positively impacted the lives of over 100,000 people worldwide. He is a recognized leader in happiness education and author of The Good Mood Revolution. Matt teaches us not just why happiness is essential, especially in high pressure roles like those of founders and leaders, but how we can actively choose and cultivate it every day. Life can feel chaotic, but Matt will show you how happiness is a skill we can learn and master. Hi, Matt. How are you today? Welcome to the show.
Sonia, I couldn't be more excited. Hello.
Hi. How are you?
So we already have established this. It's in sunny South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, heaven on earth. I know that you also are in the northern heaven on earth and that beautiful Toronto. But
Yeah.
life is good wherever we are.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. It's so funny you say that because that's going to lead us right into our conversation, which is going to be all about happiness.
Yes.
So, Matt, you often say happiness is a choice, and that sort of intrigued me, and I really want to dig into it. Can you elaborate on first what that means, especially in high stress environments like managing a business or leading a team?
Yeah, and I own three businesses and I have about 90 employees that don't all report to me, but 90 employees that are under my leadership. And I've got four kids and a wife, and also run a podcast called The Good Mood Revolution and publishing my first book. So life can feel really big and there can be a lot of things going on. And yet happiness is always a choice. Because here's the thing is that the times when we feel really, really happy, we're telling ourselves a story that is really enjoyable.
Mm.
So any day, Sonia, think of a day. What's a day that just the first day that comes to mind where you're like, oh, that was such a happy day for me.
Okay.
What do you got?
I got like a day where I was just with my friends and we were all in a good mood and we were just enjoying each other's company.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and when we're with people we love, like that feeling of love extending from us to somebody else is really the essence of happiness. So you've described it really beautifully. And we also could be around friends that we're not enjoying.
Mm. I've had
Sometimes I'll be around a friend and maybe they're chewing too loud and they've said something I didn't like, and then all of a sudden I'm not having the best day of my life. But in either situation, I'm the one in me that's deciding if I love this situation or not. There's no one else inside your head that's saying, I love this, or I hate this, or this isn't perfect enough, or this is exactly perfect enough. Our happiness comes from how much we love our current moment. And we are 100% in control of how much we love our current moment. Now, I know that's a bold statement because sometimes really tragic and awful things happen, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and yet, some of the biggest travesties, I know, and you were talking about entrepreneurship, some of the worst things that have ever happened in business then have created the birth of some of the best things that have ever happened. So while we were damning the thing that happened, we should have been saying, oh, I'm so blessed that I get to deal with this because what's going to come out of it is going to be the next great innovation. So
Mm.
it could have just been a mindset reframe in that exact moment where we were hating it because it ends up turning out to be something really great for us. But it's always our decision. Do I hate what's happening or do I love what's happening? And we're the only ones in us that chooses that.
So you're basically saying that I can't use the excuse that someone stripped my happiness away for the day because they pissed me off or they said something I didn't like and now they've ruined my whole day. Are you saying I can't use that excuse anymore?
No, you definitely can. You definitely can. You'll just suffer.
Darn it. It's so much easier to like blame other people
Yes.
or something, or I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, so I'm going to be in
Yes.
a bad mood all day. But
Yes.
really what you're saying is we put that we put that on ourselves, that we put ourselves in that state of mind, and then our day is bad or we're not happy because we made that decision.
Yeah, what's interesting is that most of these decisions about our moods are made subconsciously.
Mm,
They're all driven by our beliefs. And we've got thousands of beliefs that are subconscious. But we program those subconscious beliefs ourselves, usually in childhood,
mm,
ages 2, 3, 4, 5. We made some decisions about the world, like the world is an unsafe place, or I'm not worthy of love, or I need to prove my worth. These are some of the decisions that we make as a child that then run everything from there on out. Oftentimes, entrepreneurs are people that feel like they need to prove that they're lovable, is one
mm,
of the decisions that we make. And so we're going out and creating things that are really big and exciting and new to prove to the world that we're worth something, because inside we haven't decided that we're already worthwhile without anything, without doing anything. That certainly was a story that was running me. And when that subconscious belief is running us, we think, I don't feel happy in this moment and it's not up to me. Well, it is. I just need to find the subconscious beliefs that are sabotaging my happiness and then reprogram them. And all of us can do it. And there really are only 8 negative stories. There's only 8 primary bad moods that sabotage all happiness. And once we figure out what those 8 bad moods are, we can learn how to get out of them.
so can you give us an example of those 8 bad moods since you
I'll just,
mentioned it?
yes, mine as well. Uh, the first one is the one I just mentioned, and it's the most destructive one. This thought that I'm unlovable or I'm unworthy or something's wrong with me or I'm rejectable. That's the emotion of shame.
Mm,
And everyone has some amount of shame to heal. All of us have been, we as a child, we were rejected at some point by something. And then because we're really egotistical as children, we think everything's about us. And so we take every rejection to mean something's wrong with me.
mm,
And then that little subconscious belief shows up. We embed it in ourselves. We say, I think something's wrong with me, that this experience happened to me. And then we go ahead and we find evidence to support the subconscious belief something's wrong with me. Like maybe we go out on the playground later that week, and then some friends say, we don't want to play with you. And then you're like, oh, I guess there is something wrong with me. Okay, so here's some more evidence. And later in our life, we have a business failure, and we're like, yep, something's wrong with me. And then we're always trying to prove that nothing's wrong with us, but that's shame. So that's the first and most destructive bad mood. It's not true. Nothing's wrong with any of us. We're all perfect. We're all on our perfect journey. Sometimes we make mistakes and we learn from them, but it doesn't mean anything's ever wrong with us.
mm,
The second negative mood is when we make mistakes and we think we deserve to be punished or judged. That's guilt. We find our guilt by figuring out who we're judging. So anytime we're judging anyone and saying that person's wrong, that person's doing this wrong, that person's not good enough here, it's our own guilt inside us that says, I'm not good enough. I don't perform well enough. I'm a perfectionist. I need everything to be exactly right, that we project onto other people. So if we want to know if we have guilt running us and destroying our happiness, just notice if you ever judge anyone.
mm. Okay.
It is completely possible to stop judging. And it's so much happier. It is so much happier
Mm,
when you feel like fully confident in yourself, like complete self-confidence that, hey, I'm on my perfect journey. No, I don't make perfect decisions, but I'm on my perfect journey for my growth. And sometimes I make mistakes, and that's part of my journey, that I learn from those mistakes. And there's nothing wrong with me as I make mistakes and fail. I know failure is one of the things entrepreneurs often talk about. And when we come to grips with that, then we see someone else on their perfect journey making their mistakes, saying the wrong things, doing the wrong things, but they're doing the best they can. And we don't judge them for it. We're just like, oh, I see them. They're making some mistakes. That'll be kind of painful for them, but there's nothing wrong with them.
yeah.
And that's how we heal the second bad mood. The third bad mood that gets in the way of our happiness is one entrepreneurs have all the time. and it's overwhelm, hopelessness. It's all up to me. I'm going to put it all on my shoulders. I'm the only one who can do this. I do it best. No one else can do it as well as me. So I'll
Same.
just do it all. So that's a tricky one. But when we get stuck in that emotion, we're not happy.
Yeah.
And we don't have to be in that emotion, right? I mean, Sonia, when you're feeling like everything's up to you and you have to do it all, especially as an entrepreneur, a founder, we can feel like that a lot. I mean, how great are you feeling about yourself when those thoughts are going through your head?
Yeah. I mean, usually I'm just really overwhelmed. I have no thoughts for anything else.
Yeah, we're feeling pretty miserable.
Yeah.
And we could totally shift out of it. So, who's the person, who's the one that's feeling overwhelmed and is counting all the priorities that we think we have to do and
Mm.
saying this is overwhelming? We're the ones saying that.
Yeah, that's true.
Put it in perspective, I know you're a breast cancer survivor. Somewhat, you could get a diagnosis that day, and all these things that we thought we had to take care of that were on our shoulders and were overwhelming are completely insignificant. They mean nothing.
True.
So we're overwhelming ourselves over things that actually are not serious priorities.
So, in your experience, and you just mentioned something, I'm a breast cancer survivor, and when I went through my journey, one of the things that I was like really seeking out, I don't describe it as happiness because I see it as two different things. So I have the question for you to see if they are in fact different. So happiness to me is like how I'm feeling now. Peace is a state of mind for me. Peace is a place that I found through all of going through all of these obstacles and just getting to a place where I'm like, wow, I'm so good. So, my question for you is, in your experience, is there a difference between seeking happiness and finding peace? Are they the same thing?
No, they're not the same thing. And you described it really beautifully. Absolutely. In my book, Good Mood Revolution, uh, I talk about uh, 8 different positive emotional states. And joy, for me, happiness and joy are synonymous. And it's semantics. Some people are like, happiness is fleeting. Well, for me, pleasure is fleeting, but happiness and joy, that feeling of just, I'm just feeling so joyful. I'm feeling so happy. I'm just elated today,
Mm.
is a different emotion than peace. And we can have profound peace without feeling that kind of jubilant joy. And they
Mm.
are two definitely different emotions, but they're both beautiful and we want them both.
What are some of the known effects of unhappiness or chronic stress on our bodies and minds, and how does this influence decision making and creativity?
Right. Every single study that you're going to find about stress is going to say that it's going to make us worse. Right. Oh, well, okay. I'll take that back. Uh, there's a doctor named Dr. Ryan Smith that did give a really cool talk about stress. And he said, the higher our level of stress when we're optimistic and positive. So we got high stress, but we have high optimism and positivity about our ability to handle it, the higher our life satisfaction.
Oh,
I
interesting.
thought that was so profound. And to put this into perspective, when we had our first child, my wife and I had our first child, it was stressful. Baby's not sleeping. We don't know how to feed a baby. We don't know how to take care of a baby, like high stress, but yet we were optimistic and hopeful we'd figure it out. We figured it out. Fulfillment was higher than it ever been. Now we're parents, so to this beautiful little girl, Harper. Then we have our second child. More stress because we've got the first one still in diapers. Now we got a second one, more stress, but still high optimism, high hope, more life satisfaction, fulfillment, and happiness. At this point, we have 4 children, and that's it. And we have high levels of optimism and confidence in our ability to be great parents. And we have the highest amount of fulfillment. So, stress coupled with happiness creates higher fulfillment.
Mm,
So we don't want to necessarily seek a stress-free life, right? Where
right.
we're not doing anything of consequence. We're not making the world a better place. We're not creating new products. We're not doing the song that's in our heart and like making that company and going for it, right? We don't want that. That's actually not fulfillment and happiness. We want to do things that light us up, that are going to bring joy from us that take a lot of stress, right? Owning a company is stressful, but if we do it with enthusiasm and creativity and positivity, man, it can be so fulfilling.
Yeah.
So the stress that harms us is toxic stress. And toxic stress is stress that we feel like we don't have any control over. So, or that we can't accept. So like with your diagnosis, that's a super hard path, and it must have been very difficult. And as we're resisting a diagnosis like that, it can create a lot of suffering, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. You could tell me better than I could tell you.
Hmm.
And and then there comes a point in our journey, hopefully our healing journey, which is, and I'm so proud of you for going through the journey and getting to this point that you're at, where we start to have acceptance that, hey, this is here. And then we start to have some optimism that, hey, I can do something about this. And then we actually start to get gratitude. Like, oh, I'm kind of grateful that this has happened to open my eyes. I'm more compassionate. There's some things about life now I don't take it for granted. I hug people tighter.
Hmm.
And then it goes from a toxic stress situation to actually a fulfillment situation, the same exact challenge.
I love the example you just made, but I want to go to a different example. So, you know that the common thing with entrepreneurship and founders is trying to find a work life balance. And I don't believe in a work life balance because trying to do that is super stressful for me. So I just live my life how I need to. But for those that are trying to find it and are getting more stressed out because they're trying to find it, what's your advice on how they can go about it without all the stress and being unhappy?
So let's try to balance this pen. I gotta have it just like, and I dropped it.
Yeah.
So trying to balance anything is a state of seeking perfection. We can't. Like, yeah, we can. It's gonna, and so anytime we're trying to balance something, we're seeking perfection, and that goes back into hopelessness and overwhelm, that third negative mood. Because any perfectionism and perfection seeking just creates more toxic stress in us. So I'm not a big fan of work-life balance. What I love is work-life fulfillment.
Mm.
I want fulfillment and abundance at home. I want fulfillment and abundance at work. Sometimes work requires a lot of energy. Sometimes home requires a lot of energy. And I just want to like have goals and excitement about both areas. And I
Mm.
believe in abundance. I believe we can have abundance of fulfillment in both areas. What does that look like? Well, for me, it's intentional time and intentional like relationships with my children, each of my children.
Mhm.
For how I've created this for myself that's worked really well is I do one-on-one dates. I've got 4 kids. Every month I take one of them out for a whole day, just me and them. Everyone's got one day a month.
Yeah, for sure. That's so cute that you do that.
And once a year, I take one of them on a trip anywhere they want to go.
Oh.
My wife is leaving in 2 weeks because now she's like, wait a minute, dad's having all the fun. I'm going to do this. So she takes one of them on a trip every year. She's about to leave to see Taylor Swift in Miami
Oh, wow.
with my 9-year-old. And so that's like a huge trip. But what's great is now the abundance in the relationship with her and Cameron is going to be at a level that it never could have been at because she's giving all this fulfillment, all this one-on-one time in the plane, in the hotel, the little things that just happen while traveling with just her, and she doesn't have any siblings around and I'm not there. Like their relationship is going to take off.
Mm.
And then in my relationship with my wife, we have a weekly date night.
Yeah.
I know that that can sound rote and boring. It's not at all, because for us, we're like, oh, what is going to be the exciting thing? What's the restaurant we haven't been to? What's the activity that we get to do? What maybe there's just like some, like when the Olympics were on, we went to the bar just to watch the Olympics and had so much fun just doing something different. And we love to pour into that. And we have a one-on-one trip, just her and I, every year. So in those moments, I'm all in on Katie.
Mhm.
There's no work. We don't talk work in those moments. So I'm abundantly in with her. But then when I'm at work, I don't have this half in, half out thing like, oh, I need to be spending more time with my kids. No, when I'm at work, I'm all in right now at work. We need to be where we are and give everything we've got to where we are. And if we're at work, like not giving our all, then we're wasting time we could have been with our kids. So when we go to work, crush it. And when you're home, be the best freaking parent and spouse that you possibly can be.
Love that. Those are such good examples. So
It's
you've
been
talked,
it's been revolutionary for us. It's been awesome. I took my daughter, my 11-year-old this year on a surf trip to Mexico, just her and me.
wow.
And, every morning as the sun's coming up, we're on the waves paddling together. And then we go and we get like a breakfast together. And then like anything she wanted to do is all directed by her. That was her trip. But it's not just the surfing. It's the best part about the trip is that it's just her and I just goofing off together and being funny with each other and getting to know each other on a level we couldn't have otherwise.
But if you think about it long term as well, you're building all these memories that she's never going to forget,
Me neither.
right?
Yeah, like special. I
Yeah.
cherish these memories.
And that
Um,
alone will bring you happiness.
yeah, so much happiness, so much joy. So that was a really good question about work-life balance, and we want work-life abundance.
I love that. So you've talked about conquering negative thought patterns. Can you share a bit more about the neuroscience behind happiness and resilience?
Yeah, well, resilience is really one of my favorite traits
Okay.
because the nature of life is everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything changes every moment. And that means, and change is not comfortable, right? We want to grow our business to a point where nothing's going to disrupt it and nothing will change. It'll just pay us all this money and it won't take any work. And as we're growing our business to that point, something changes. The government makes a new regulation, new competition comes in, the product market fit all of a sudden doesn't work, and everything changes, and we're all super stressed out, right? And so we have to be really resilient in this world. We
Mm-hmm.
have to foster this ability to adapt to change, or else we will always suffer. We can't be happy without this ability to be resilient. And I always say to people, if you want to be happy, you have to learn how to be happy when things aren't going right
Mm, yeah.
because things aren't going right most of the time. So that is resilience. That's like the essence of happiness is that we're going to be happy as things are changing and aren't comfortable. We're going to learn how to be comfortable while things aren't comfortable. And that's a skill. It's a skill of resilience.
Do you,
Go ahead.
do you find that that's a skill? Sorry, I have so many questions around this. So sorry I interrupted you, but I have to ask. Like, is that a hard skill for the younger generation or even us to get to now because we live in a society where I don't really think people understand what true happiness is or what it's like to be happiness because we go on social media and we see a bunch of happy people and we associate being happy with what those people are doing and how successful they are and all the traveling that they're doing and all the things that they're up to and we sort of associate happiness with those things.
Yeah, that's comparison, right? So that's one of the 8 negative emotions.
Okay.
Comparison, comparison is the essence of pride and competition. And as we're looking at other people and comparing our life to them and saying, is my life better or is it worse? There's no happiness. We cannot have happiness while we're being stuck in that type of an energy. You already have described the essence of happiness. You described a beautiful afternoon with your friends.
Yeah.
Happiness is in the now, and all of us have experienced it. I haven't asked that question to a single person where I said, hey, think of a really wonderful, happy day in your life. And if you're listening, think of a really wonderful, happy day in your life. And every single person can think of one.
Yeah.
So even in this world of social media comparison, we all have real authentic happiness. Also haven't had a single person say, oh, the day I made the post and I got 1,000 likes. That
Okay.
was the day I was happiest, right? No one has said that. Or the day I was scrolling. No one
Yeah.
said that. Or the day I took a picture of everything that I was doing. No, they don't say that either. They typically say like a real life experience with other human beings that they love. And that's always how the answer goes. So, okay, well, if that's the answer to everybody's perfect happiness, then we need to live that. How do we do that? We have to get really connected to this present moment and be with the person we are with, not wanting to be somewhere else, not wondering if it's postable or if it's as good as what other people are posting or if it's this or if it's that. It's like, I'm not comparing anything to this moment. Joy exists now in this moment, not on vacation. Vacation's cool too. Being on the water with Harper was beautiful. I was happy there. But having this conversation with Sonia, this to me is so joyful. You're in Toronto, I'm in Charleston. We're talking about happiness. What could be cooler than this? And if you're listening to this show on two people that are just lit up with happiness, you could be so happy right now listening to this show. There's nowhere else to be. There's nothing else you should be doing at any moment. You are doing your perfect thing in
Mhm.
this moment. We can make plans for the future, a huge advocate for goals and plans. But then we have to come back and say, I'm going to be happy now while I pursue these goals. That's a
Mhm.
huge mistake that I made as an entrepreneur is I would grind and suffer. And I say, I'm just going to grind it out. I'm going to get all this stuff done and one day I'll make it. And when I make it, then I'll be happy. Well, guess what happens 4 years later when I finally hit that goal that I was grinding for? I wasn't happy any of those days going for it. I don't know how to be happy when I get it. So there's like this a moment of pleasure because I got the dopamine hit of I hit the goal, and then that dissipates because I don't actually understand what it's like to be happy every single day. And so what do? I recalibrate and set a higher goal, and then I grind for more years. Well, if we don't want to be on this hamster wheel, never actually feeling satisfaction and joy, we find happiness now
Mhm.
while we're pursuing a goal. The joy is in the journey. We get to the goal, we're just as happy because as we hit the goal, it's also now. And the day after the goal is hit is also now. And today is now. And every single moment we ever live is now. So if we can't learn to be happy in the now, we'll never actually be happy.
Wow. I mean, I'm happy just having this conversation with you. I think you're a little bit contagious.
It is, right? No, it is. Every emotion is contagious.
Yeah. I'm
Every
like,
emotion is contagious. They all are. And you know it too. Like somebody walks in the room and they're
yeah,
in like a super dark mood and like
yeah.
a whole vibe of the room, like it's like the air gets sucked out of it. And you're like, oh man, oh, okay. Why did they walk in? They just ruined our fun. Or you walk into a room, like I'll walk in and my kids will be kind of nitpicky. And if I'm like feeling on fire, they start laughing and giggling and having fun too because they pick up on my energy. So yeah, everything's contagious. But what I want for us, this is why I'm so passionate about the work I do. I want I want other people to start making a contagious happy energy instead of that contagious sucking away all the energy. Because one person turns into a happier person, that then spreads to the people that they're around, which spreads to the people they're around. It's like the ripple effects are eternal. It
Right.
gets to this person, then that person's children, then that person's children's friends, and then their children, their grandchildren, and like your wake extends through eternity.
Wow. You just made me think about something that I had never really thought about. So I've had moments where I'm having meetings in the boardroom with my team, and I've been sort of like in a bad mood, or I've just been like in my own head. And I walk in and I can see that everyone's nervous about that meeting. But
Yes.
thinking about another scenario where I've been like in a good mood and I when I walk in, it's a different, everyone's more energetic. So what everything that you and I are talking about, you can even apply it to something like that. When you walk into a meeting, you can come into it with a good vibe and everyone will feed off of that, right?
Yeah, and I've got a really practical way to do that.
Okay,
And
tell us.
trust me, I walk into meetings sometimes and my team is like, oh boy, right? Because the numbers aren't what I want them to
Yeah.
be. We're not hitting our metrics. I'm frustrated about it. And that frustration is coming out. That's not the most productive way for my team to solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like creativity, you talked about the science, the brain science of happiness. When we're focused on problems and negativity, our vision actually contracts and we can't see solutions as well. when we feel really good, our vision expands and our creativity expands.
Mm.
I picture it like the light of God, like love of God, the universe, whatever higher power source you want to think of. When we feel amazing, we're connected to the infinite intelligence of everything. And what could be more intelligent than whatever is created, a
Yeah.
ball of dirt flying around the sun at thousands of miles an hour, well, around this giant burning ball of fire that never goes out or will go out in like millions of years. Like this, the intelligent design of everything is so freaking crazy. I want that intelligence to guide my business decision, not
Yeah.
my egocentric, it's not good enough intelligence, which can't access the ultimate creative energy of everything. And you want more science about how that ultimate creative energy works. How come the same exact scientific breakthrough often is thought of by four different people around the world at the exact same moment? They're not copying each other, they're not working with each other. It's because infinite intelligence is downloading it into the field of consciousness that we're all connected to. Certain people are connected to that and receiving it at the exact same time. I want to receive. I want to receive messages from whatever is way more intelligent than I am. So as we're dealing with a business problem, we want to walk in with excitement and joy at the possibilities of what could happen. How do we do this? The easiest way to get to happiness is through love.
Mm.
So you said I had so much fun with my friends, the love that was extended with your friends, that was the joy.
Yeah.
We actually, every single person we work with is a spiritual assignment.
Mm.
And the assignment is to love. They're not in your company by random chance. This we think, oh, I hired them. I put the job ad out. I selected them. No, it's so much more magical than that. They were attracted to work with you for a spiritual assignment. Now
Yeah.
it's your job to follow through on that spiritual assignment and produce as much love as you can in that relationship, which will raise the vibe of humanity, really. Like because we said our energy is contagious. So
Mhm.
this is how we do it. Before every meeting, we say a little blessing for every person that's in there.
Oh, wow.
So we're about to walk into a meeting with 5 people. We love these 5 people. These 5 people are giving their life to us. Now they're
Yeah.
married, probably, or not, and they have their own friends and their own family. We get that. But their work life, 40, 50, 60 hours a week of their life, they're dedicating to our company and our mission because they love us. We owe it to them to love them even more.
This is true.
So it doesn't take long. 60 seconds. I did it before we got on this podcast. I sent
Oh,
you a
wow.
lot of love, Sonia. I
Thank
do
you. I feel it.
before every room and every Zoom, I send blessings. And
Yeah.
I just think of their face and I just wish them well. I think and you can use a little mantra. I wish this person happiness and joy today. I wish this person ease and peace. I wish this person lots of fun in their life. Hey, I'm just sending this person love and blessings. And then you walk in. Now we're not all selfish and worried about ourselves and the numbers aren't right or whatever. We're thinking about the love in this room
Mm.
every single time that room's going to be a delightful room.
So, what are some practical steps that our listeners, many of whom are founders, business leaders, can take to start incorporating more happiness into their daily routines?
Yeah, the business follows the leader in every way. A long time ago, I took a business conference with Tony Robbins, and he said something I haven't ever forgotten. He said, "The bottleneck of your organization is you.
Wow.
If your organization isn't breaking through where you are now because of the psychology of the leader." And it's a bold statement. And when he said it, I'm like, man, I don't know if that's true. And the more and more, I mean, now it's been 7 years since I heard that comment. I've realized that, yeah, my company or companies will only go as far as my psychology and my skills.
Mm.
So if I were to have a bigger vision and more skill and higher psychology, my company could be really unlimited in size.
Mhm.
It's only limited by my own vision and skill level. And, you know, so part of the skill level is selecting the right people or selecting the right leaders or having people that are making the right strategy. That's part of the skill level too. And that's all, again, up to the leader. Super fun to watch this play out in sports. You can watch this play out in sports. A new coach is brought in and then they win a national championship. And you're like, wow, same players, just a new vision of the leader, a new philosophy. So what we want to do then, if we're really, really concerned about success of our business, is then we just have to improve ourselves. Jim Rohn famously said, work harder on yourself than you do your job.
Mm.
You work harder on your job, you earn a living, you work harder on yourself, and I can't remember what he said, but it was much better than just earning a living. You build a legacy or something like that.
Yeah.
But we want to work harder on ourselves than we do our job. So the practical things I do every morning, I want to get my emotional frequency as high as I can. There are 8 negative moods that take us out of joy
Mm-hmm.
or peace. I've described the first two, first three, shame and guilt, and then hopelessness or overwhelm. To counteract that, every morning I write down 3 things I did well the day before.
Mm.
It's simple. I've been doing this for over a decade. I won't stop doing it because my mind continues to come back to negativity because that's its job, is to look at what's not going right. Good. Brain, you're doing your job. And that's kind of a nice thing. The brain says, hey, this isn't going well enough. These numbers aren't good enough. I'm like, thank you for bringing that to my attention. We can work on that. We can work on it joyfully. So our brain does its job, brings us the problem. But if you don't counteract the negativity of always looking at the problem with what's going right,
Mm.
what you end up doing is always just saying there's problems and there's problems, there's problems, and you solve it and you solve it and you solve it, and new ones pop up and new ones pop up and new ones pop up, and you never ever have anything where you're like, oh, I did that well, or except for maybe the one time every 3 years when you like crushed it and you had bigger than expected gains in your business. I want every single day, I want to be like high-fiving myself, like, man, I did so good yesterday. That was killer. So every morning I just say, what did I do well yesterday?
Mm. What
3
happens?
things.
What happens if you feel like you haven't done anything?
That's the problem. That's the number one thing.
So
The
what are
brain,
how can
there are always 3 things you did well. 3 is a small number. I'm
really?
coaching someone right now on happiness, and he says, I can only come up with one thing I did well yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, dude, you got one thing you did well. That's awesome. Great. So I'm celebrating again the positive that he came up with one thing he did well. And I said, hey, stick with this habit.
Mm.
Continue to find one thing. Some days you'll find 2 things. Sometimes you're going to find 3 things. Some days, like
Mm.
I'm like 8, 9, 10. I'm like, wow, yesterday it was I can't even believe I did that and that and that and that. Like all these things just kind of fell into place. It was crazy. I was just on fire yesterday. Sometimes it turns into I don't have room to write all the things I did well yesterday. It becomes so fun collecting where we're winning. But this is what's cool is like in sports, momentum, you're like, oh man, the momentum just shifted. This team feels so confident and now they're going to win the game because all the momentum has swung to them. Well, I interviewed Lou Holtz on my podcast, and Lou said, momentum is just a feeling. It's
Mm.
a feeling. How do we create the feeling of momentum?
Yeah.
By counting the ways that we're winning. One team, all of a sudden, they catch an interception and run it in for a touchdown, and the momentum shifted. They they're like they feel like now they can do more things well because they just did one thing well. Well, every single morning, start out and say, what did I do well yesterday? If you come up with one thing, great. Write it
Mhm.
down. Tomorrow, same thing. Here's what will happen over time. Your brain will continue to bring you what's not going well enough because that's its job. But then the brain is like super lazy. It doesn't want to think. It doesn't want to spend a lot of time on things it knows it has to do over and over again. So it starts to habitualize things.
Oh wow.
It will start keeping an open file and it'll scan for you all day. In the moment, as you do something well, it'll say, oh, we'll write that down tomorrow. And so in the moment, you start to celebrate yourself. You're like, oh, I just did that well. Well, you wouldn't have even noticed it before because it's like, yeah, of course I did that well. Like I have to, but that's not going right, and that's not going right, and that's not, and but now now it's starting to notice both in the moment what you're doing well and what needs to be improved. And
So
then
yeah,
you
you're
start to notice what,
reprogramming your brain.
yes, you reprogram your brain, 1000%. And then you start to notice what other people do well as they do it. And then you start to be like, oh, you are awesome. I just saw what you did. Like I came on this podcast. I'm like, Sonia, you've got a top 5% podcast in the world. Your podcast is being listened to more than 95% of everyone else. Like you are crushing it, right? That's not that's not fake. For me, when I see someone that's doing something at a high level like you, I want to celebrate them because I've totally programmed my brain into celebration.
Wow,
That's momentum. Every day I have momentum.
that's impressive. I hadn't even thought about that. I always buy these little books. I love journaling, but I used to buy these journaling books that would tell you what did you do really well yesterday. And so I gave up on those. I just write a blank journal with my thoughts and my feelings because I always struggled with that part of it. What did you do well yesterday? And it always wanted to list like three or five. And I'm like, I can't even think of one. And I found so much pressure in that because, like you said, I always thought about the negative, like, but maybe one thing could be, let me ask you, could me getting out of bed on time be something I should celebrate?
Yes. Yes. Some people don't get out of bed.
Yeah, exactly.
And on a day where you don't feel like getting out of bed
And you do?
and you do, that is a total win. You're like,
Yeah.
that was hard today. I just wanted to stay in bed. Like things are really hard at work right now. But the fact that I got up and I went in that office anyway, that's a win. I did what I was supposed to do. Totally. It
Well, we
doesn't have to be, I just made $1 million yesterday. It doesn't have to be huge, right? For some days, often I'll say, man, I did the workout. I did a workout yesterday. That was a win. I didn't feel like doing it. But then once I got into it, I enjoyed it and I'm proud of myself. I got that workout done,
mm-hmm.
right? Or you could say, I I went to my daughter's cross country meet. She had cross country practice. I went and instead of being on my phone the whole time, I paid attention to her. That was a win.
Yeah, love it. Well, we're coming up on time, but before we wrap up, can you tell us how our audience can find you, what your programs are like so that they can reach out to you?
Yeah, the best way to plug in, and thank you for that, is that we already have Tenacity and Sonia. You're so wonderful. And grab a second podcast in your week. So come over to Good Mood Revolution as well and get Sonia and her wisdom and come over and listen to tips on how to feel good every week too. And it's just Good Mood Revolution podcast. And if somebody wants to like really work on overcoming those 8 negative emotions, a good place to plug in on that is the book, and you can get Good Mood Revolution book on Amazon.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for joining me today. This was really enlightening, and I just feel happy. Maybe I don't know. We started our conversation, and you just got me in a really good mood. I wish we had had this in the morning, and then I would have been happy the whole day. Just before we leave, is there anything that you want to leave our audience with when it comes to happiness?
Yes, you are doing it all right. You're loved. Everything is perfect. There actually hasn't been a single mistake. It all has been exactly what your soul needed for its progression and its growth. I know we've made mistakes that we think are unforgivable and we've done some things that we aren't proud of.
Mm.
That is what fosters compassion in us instead of judgment. So even our mistakes are things that are beautiful for us, where we now can understand someone else that's going through something or has made a hard decision, and we can have compassion for what they're feeling right now. So my biggest takeaway for anyone that's listening is you are loved and you're doing it right.
Well, thank you, Matt. I really appreciate your time today, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Oh, same. Thank you for having me.
I want to extend a thank you to Matt for joining us today and sharing such insightful strategies and personal stories on how to cultivate happiness even when under pressure. Happiness isn't just a state of being, it's a tool that can transform our personal lives and the cultures of our business. I hope today's discussion inspires you to take proactive steps towards your own happiness and to see it as more than just a mood, but as a powerful component of your success. And that's a wrap. To our listeners, thank you for joining me on this journey of learning, growth, and inspiration. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform and connect with our community on social media. I'd love to hear your feedback, so leave a review and let me know what topics you'd want to explore in future episodes. Remember, the future belongs to those who embrace challenges, adapt with tenacity, and keep pushing forward. Keep growing, keep pivoting, and most importantly, stay tenacious in your pursuits. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to bringing you more insightful conversations in our upcoming episodes. This is Sonia signing off, but as always, keep chasing your dreams with tenacity.